What's going on, family? This is Scrapbook Boxing. We're going to continue with the Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series with the Cuban Hawk, the kid Gavilan. Let's take a look at his career. Kid Gavilan was an exuberant ring talent. He wasn't the predatory type his ring name implied. It means sparrowhawk in Spanish. But at his dazzling peak, there was nobody faster, more exciting, or stylish. He could take a punch too. Nobody ever knocked him out. Gavilan was a professional in Havana at 17, but it was in New York that he settled. The city buzz in those years immediately after the war. And Gavilan's devil-may-care, ready-smile genius fitted the time. Twice he outpointed reigning world lightweight champion Ike Williams. After losing his first welterweight title fight to Ray Robinson, he took over by winning the vacant championship against Johnny Bratton. Now, Johnny Bratton was a hell of a fighter. Outstanding fighter. We'll learn about him a little later on in the program. He stayed champion until 1954, surviving a controversial fight with Billy Graham, but also beating Bobby Dykes, Gil Turner, Graham again, Chuck Davey, Carmen Basilio, and Bratton again. These fighters were outstanding as well. We're going to learn about them in time to come. Fixed fights were rift at the time. Nobody knows exactly what happened, but Gavilan's win over Graham was considered suspicious, and he certainly believed he could not beat Johnny Saxton in Philadelphia in October 1954. He was right. The unanimous decision went against him, even though ringside reporters considered he was robbed. In his great years, he would cruise Manhattan in his Cadillac, but on his retirement in 1958, and by now a Jehovah's Witness, he returned to his Cuban farm for a quieter life. After Fidel Castro's revolution, both his passport and car were confiscated, and he was arrested repeatedly for preaching on the streets. In 1968, the authorities let him migrate back to the United States, where he underwent 2 cataract operations, but after a brief spell working with Muhammad Ali's entourage, he suffered 3 strokes and in old age lived alone in a small Miami flat. Now in 1943, he fought 4 times, all victories. He was able to get his first KO on September 11th. It was a 5-round knockout of Sergio Prieto in Havana. 1944, he suffered his second defeat, September 22nd, with Carlo Marciara of Mexico. It was a 10-round loss. 1946, he suffered his third defeat, April 5th, with Tony Moore of Mexico. 10-round loss. Notice all his fights that he lost was Mexican fighters. Now, his first notable name here, December 2nd and December 13th, was against Johnny Williams, St. Nicholas Arena. He was able to defeat him twice in the 10th round. Now, Johnny Williams was a great fighter, a very, very good fighter. I would say he was a crowd-pleasing fighter. I have him in my profile. I'll share him with you as time to come. In 1947, he went on to win lose his 4th fight, September 2nd, against Doug Radford in Newark. 10-round loss. Now, if you look at August 18th, he fought a fighter by the name of Bobby Lee of Baltimore. Bobby Lee wound up becoming the IBF commission back in the 80s. He had some deals with Don King. But B.B. Wright, Baltimore, 10-round KO, November 3rd. Buster Tyler, December 29th. In New York, that was a 10-round draw. 1948, January 12th, Gene Burton of New York. Gene Burton was an outstanding fighter, 10-round draw. February 27th, Ike Williams of New York. He lost 10 rounds. He lost again. April 26th, actually April 13th, against Doug Radford in Brooklyn. April 26th, Tommy Bell, Philadelphia, 10-round victory for him. Tommy Bell was a very good fighter. He had a brother by the name of Bobby Bell, who was a featherweight. But of the Bell brothers, Tommy Bell was the best. Tommy Bell also went later on to fight. Actually, this was back in 46, I should say. He fought against Sugar Ray Robinson for the vacant title, welterweight championship, that was left by Marty Servo. So that was a very good win for Kid Gavilan, that Tommy Bell victory in April 26. November 12th, Tony Pallone, New York, outstanding fighter, 10-round victory. 1949, January 28th, Ike Williams in New York, 10-round victory. April 1st, Ike Williams, New York, 10-round victory. So Gavilan is starting to pick up the pace here. But then that earned him an opportunity to face Sugar Ray Robinson on July 11th in Philadelphia. He lost a 15-round decision for the World Welterweight title. Rocky Castellani, September 9th in New York. He defeated him in 10 rounds. Another good fighter. October 14th, Bo Jack, October. He defeated him in 10 rounds. He lost to Lester Felton, October 21st in Detroit, 10 rounds. November 21st, Laurence Dotillo, Montreal. He defeated him in 10 rounds. December 17th, Bobby Lee. Second fight with him in Havana. 10-round victory. See, at that time, Gavilan had to go back and forth to Cuba. He was just here on a visa for fights. 1950. February 10th, Billy Graham, New York, lost 10 rounds. March 6th, Otis Graham, Philadelphia. He defeated him in 10 rounds. March 20th, Robert Villamain, very good fighter. Montreal, lost in 10 rounds. George Sugar Costner, May 8th, Philadelphia. He lost in 10 rounds. Sonny Horn, a very good fighter. July 2nd, in Brooklyn, lost 10 rounds. Actually, he won 10 rounds, excuse me. Phil Burton, July 13th, in Omaha, Nebraska. He won in 10 rounds. Johnny Greco, Montreal. He KO'd him in 6 rounds. Billy Graham, November 17th, in New York. 10-round victory. Tony Gennaro, December 4th, Cleveland, Ohio, 10-round victory. December 22nd, Joe Maselli, New York, 10-round victory. Now in 1951, January 26th, he fought Patty Young. That was a good test for him. Very, very rugged fighter. In New York, he defeated him in 10 rounds. March 30th, Gene Hairston, New York City, a 10-round victory. May 18th, Johnny Bratton in New York, 15-round victory for him for the American welterweight title. July 16th, he fought Fitzy Putin, Milwaukee, 10-round victory. August 29th, Billy Graham, New York City, defeated him in 15 rounds. Gavilan gained the international recognition of that title. Walter Carrier, that was a very good knockout for him. December 14th. 1952, February 4th, Bobby Dykes in Miami. 15-round victory for the welterweight title. February 28th, Don Doc Williams, Boston. 10-round victory, very good. May 19th, Ralph Zanelli, Providence, Rhode Island. A 10-round victory. May 28th, Fitzy Putin, Indianapolis. He KO'd him in 6 rounds. July 7th, Gil Turner, Philadelphia, KO 11 rounds for the world title. Now, this is a very good fight. September 13th, Eduardo Lassi of Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires, excuse me. He defeated him in 10 rounds. Billy Graham, Havana, Cuba. He won in 15 rounds for the world title. And he just kept on fighting. 1953, February 11th, Chuck Davies, Chicago, KO 10. That was a title bout. Danny Wapner, very good fighter, May 2nd, in Syracuse, New York. He lost in 10 rounds. Ramos Fuentes, Milwaukee. He defeated him in 10 rounds, July 15th. Ralph Tiger Jones, August 26th, New York, defeated him. September, Carmen Basilio, Syracuse, defeated him in 15 rounds. That was a title fight. November 13th, Johnny Bratton, Chicago, 15-round victory, title fight. 1954, February 23rd, Johnny Cunningham, Miami Beach, 10-round victory. April 2nd, Carl Bobo Olsen in Chicago. He lost that title in 1915. That was the World Middleweight Championship. Actually, he didn't lose his title until October 20th when he faced Johnny Saxton in Philadelphia. He lost 15 rounds. He lost the welterweight championship to Johnny Saxton, but he tried to gain a middleweight champion from Carl Bobo Olsen, and he lost that fight. Tough Ernie Durando, 1955, February 4th. He defeated him in New York. Hector Constance, Miami Beach. He lost in 10 rounds, February 23rd. March 16th, Bobby Dykes, Miami. He lost in 10 rounds. So let me just say, with a total bout career of 143, he KO'd 27. He won on a draw. He won a decision 79 times, won on a foul 0, a draw 6, lost on a decision 30, lost on a foul none, KO by none, no decisions none, no contest 1. Kid Gavilan was an outstanding fighter. Salute to Kid Gavilan as I welcome him in the museum with the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. Salute. I want to take a look at another fighter who doesn't get credit for being as good of a fighter as he was, Johnny Bratton. I'm just going to briefly go through his career. Johnny Bratton's career began in 1944 at the age of 17. A 4-round decision win over one Doyle Kirk. Now, what's interesting about this fighter, Doyle Kirk, he was also Kid Gavilan's first 4-round fight opponent. The resume like a who's who. Let's look at some of these fighters he fought. He faced Old Bones Joe Brown, who was wound up being a lightweight champion. Ike Williams, who wound up being a lightweight champion. Eugene Dummy Harris, Holy Mims, and Bobby Dykes. Now, Eugene Harrison, they called him Dummy Harrison because he couldn't hear. But his name was Eugene Harrison. As a matter of fact, in Madison Square Garden, the ring lights that come on 10 seconds before the final bell of that round was invented for Eugene Harrison because he couldn't hear the bell ring at the end of the round. So they invented the red blinking lights that flashes on 10 seconds before the end of the round. He faced Chalky Wright, who was a featherweight champion. Willie Joyce, outstanding fighter. Sammy Angot, Rocky Castellani, Pierre Langlois, Joe Maselli, Johnny Saxton, and Ralph Tiger Jones. Before his retirement, after losing to Del Flanagan in 1955, final numbers was 59, 33 KOs, He lost 24, 3 draws, 86 total bouts. Born September 9, 1927, Little Rock, Arkansas. Began his career in 1944. First loss was Gene Spencer. That was September 25. Lost the 8-round decision. He lost 2 in a row. Then he lost to Chalky Wright, December 14th. In New Orleans, he lost to Ike Williams, January 20th, 1946, 10-round loss. But then he went on to win on April 12th to Freddie Dawson, very good fighter, Chicago. Willie Joyce gained 2 victories over him, October 31st and December 20th. Sammy Angot, he lost to May 16th. Not a bad loss. Angot was an outstanding fighter. As a matter of fact, he handed Willie Pep his first loss after 60-plus fights consecutively. October 6th in 1947, he faced Gene Burton. That was a loss for him, 10 rounds. But then November 12th, he defeated Phil Palmer in Chicago, 10-round KO. 1948, he faced Joe Brown, New Orleans. KO'd him in 4 rounds. December 3rd, Joe Brown went on later on to become a lightweight champion. 1948, he faced January 17, Ike Williams, Philadelphia. He lost in 10 rounds. February 25th, Chester Rico, Chicago. KO'd him in 5 rounds. Chuck Taylor was also a very good fighter. KO'd him in 2 rounds, September 15th. Gene Hairston, January 4th, 1950. KO'd him in 2 rounds. Ike Williams knocked him out in 8 rounds. Not a bad knockout loss, too. January 20th. Holy Mims, November 6th. Baltimore, he lost 10 rounds. Lester Felton, December 13th in Chicago. KO'd him in 3 rounds. KO'd Bobby Dice, January 24th, 1951. First round KO for him. March 14th, Charlie Fusari in Chicago. He defeated him in 15 rounds for the vacant NBA welterweight title. April 18th, Don Doc Williams, Detroit. Outstanding fighter, KO'd him in 4. May 18th, Kid Gavilan, New York City, lost 15 rounds for the American welterweight title. Kid Gavilan, November 28th, Chicago, 10-round draw. Rocky Castellani, 1952, June 18th. He lost 10 rounds to him. Laurent Dotil, Montreal, KO 3. That was July 28th. Ralph Zanelli, September 10th, Detroit, 10-round victory. October 31st, Joe Maselli, New York, KO 8th. Ralph Tiger Jones, December 5th in New York. He lost 10 rounds. So you know what? Johnny Bratton is one of my favorite fighters, a crowd pleaser, very good fighter. Salute to Johnny Bratton. This is Gil Turner, another outstanding fighter from Philadelphia, real crowd pleaser. Welterweight, went up to middleweight and challenged all the opponents up there. Got some wins, couple of losses, but outstanding fighter. Salute to Gil Turner as well. This is Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. Salute to these great fighters. Let's take a quick look at Emile Griffith. Outstanding welterweight champion, outstanding middleweight champion. Emile Griffith personally autographed this photo for me. I will be forever grateful. Just a special salute to Emile Griffith. Emile Griffith, outstanding welterweight, outstanding middleweight. This is him facing Joey Archer. One heck of a fight. Now in 1962, in his preparation for fighting Cuba's Benny Kid Paret, Emile Griffith was very angry because Paret kept taunting him, calling him a maricon. And, this was very offensive to Griffith, so obviously he said, I'm going to take care of you when the bell rings. Little did he know, he pinned him in the corner, hit him with a couple of two pieces, and, rest in peace to Benny Kid Paret. Salute to him. But the problem with Emile Griffith was he was very sensitive. And after that fight, he really couldn't hurt his opponent. He just had problems, closing the show. And that was his biggest downfall. But he went on to fight. He had fights with Luis Rodriguez, Nino Benvenuti, Dick Tiger, Benny Briscoe, Dave Charney, Joey Archer, Ralph Dupas, Denny Moyer. He fought them all. He fought them all. He was a welterweight, middleweight champion of the world. Great fighter. Let's take a quick look through his record. Griffith was born February 3rd, 1938, Virgin Islands. In 1958, he entered the inner city Golden Gloves, 140 pounds, became a champion. And we're just going to scroll down his victories. Won some, lost some. Here's a fight, 1961 with Benny Kid Paret, Miami. Casper Ortega, Yama Bahama. That was a non-title fight. Benny Kid Paret, he lost his world welterweight champion. This one he started having problems with Paret, with the taunting. He faced Izzy Logart, December 23rd in New York. Won a 10-rounder. 1962, Johnny Torres in St. Thomas. Benny Kid Paret, he regained the world welterweight title, but Paret died on April 3rd, 1962 as a result of injuries received in this bout. Ralph Dupas, Denny Moyer, Teddy Red Top Davis, Ted Wright, Jorge Fernandez. He retained the welterweight title. March 21st, Luis Rodriguez. He lost 15 rounds and lost that welterweight strap. He went on to fight Holy Mims and Ruben Hurricane Carter, who knocked him out in one straight round. That was a brutal knockout by Carter. Ralph Dupas, Stan Harrington, Luis Rodriguez, Brian Cruz. He just fought everybody. Manuel Gonzalez, Jose Stable, Eddie Pace, Harry Scott, Manuel Gonzalez, Joey Archer, 1967. He retained the world middleweight title. Nino Benvenuti lost 15 rounds to him and lost his middleweight strap. Nino Benvenuti, he re-won the middleweight strap. I mean, unbelievable. Outstanding career by Emile Griffith. Salute to him. Salute to these great fighters. Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuffs series. Peace. We're going to take a quick look at Benny Kid Paret. Held the welterweight title May 27th, 1960 to April 1st, 1961. Then again September 30th, 1961 to March 24th, 1962. That fight was Federico Thompson. That was a very, very, very good fight. I'm just going to scan this and let y'all read this. Just get a brief understanding of Benny Kid Paret's profile. You see he defeated Don Jordan in 15 rounds. Charlie Scott, another good fighter. Casper Ortega, Eddie Thompson, Cecil Shorts. I mean, that fight with Gene Foreman was unbelievable. Madison Square Garden. Amazing. Amazing. Just take a quick look. Born March 14th, 1937. Santa Sierra. As an amateur, won 28 bouts and lost 1. Shout out to Benny Kid Paret. Salute.